welcome to round 4 of the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores. Maitland, New South Wales plays host for us this weekend, where the Maitland District Motorcycle Club is one of the oldest motorcycle clubs in Australia. Operating since the 1920s, it's seen many champions lined up behind these gates. I'm Rihanna Korean, and as always, I'm joined by the 11 times national motocross champion, Lee Hogan, and also a very warm welcome to our New Zealand viewers for the very first time. Lee, it's been a bit of a time since we were last racing, last time out at Canberra, but what a weekend we had there.
We sure did. Well, isn't it sensational to be here? You know, is it on, isn't it on? It's just so good to be at the track. Fantastic venue here. It's like an amphitheatre here and amongst all the trees. It's exciting stuff.
Canberra, it was all about Regan, Duffy, Luke Clout, Kyle Webster. What were your takeouts from that weekend?
Oh, there were so many highlights, but if I had to pick two, I really liked the Kirk Gibbs bump on Luke Clout at the end. On a day where he was on fire, to do that, it just showed that anyone that want to get in there, stamp the authority and try to get into the mix. That's my number one. My next one would be Regan Duffy, the kid, the 17-year-old, the protege. He's the real deal. He really is, and it's a very exciting time for Australian motocross.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much looking forward to seeing what he can do here this weekend. Let's take a look at the championship points for the Thor MX1 as we head into round 4. And it is Regan Duffy sitting at the top of the championship on 85 points. Todd Waters on 78. Hayden Melross and Luke Clout, the two Yamaha boys. Luke's looking to make up some time here this weekend. Kurt Gibbs on 70 points. Brett Metcalf, Jaden Rikers, unfortunately not here this weekend. Jai Walker, Maximum Purvis, and Jay Lamb rounding out the top 10. Lee, what can we be looking forward to and look out for here at Maitland?
Okay, well, we've got a track that is kind of similar to Canberra, so expect to see more of Luke Clout. However, Duffy's got a very good points lead, so it's management for him. The Kyle Webster train will highly likely roll on. I don't want to put the moz on him, shall we say, but when you're in that headspace, it's highly likely going to keep going, and really looking forward to seeing the battles erupting in that MX3 class. It's been superb.
Well, let's take a look at the track they'll be racing on this weekend. A man who knows this track like the back of his hand, our very own Danny Ham.
As we jump right into the Michelin track preview this week at Maitland, the riders are going to be presented with some new challenges. The first of that being right here on the start line. Now, we're used to the guys getting out on the dirt, plenty of grip. We'll see the bikes wheelie all the time coming out the start gate, but right here, it's the first of two tracks we see this year that we have an actual concrete start. Now, it's not just the one piece of the concrete. We've got two different elements to this. The back wheel actually sits on this very smooth part of the concrete, which will enable a lot more wheel spin before they get moving into a much grippier, coarser part of the concrete right here, where it will give them a little bit more traction. Not a heap, they still have to be very gentle on that clutch and throttle to ensure that they get off the gate with plenty of drive. It doesn't end there though. As soon as they get off the concrete, they move on to this part here where it actually steps down onto the dirt. Now, you're going to get a lot more drive once they hit the dirt, but they'll also get that front wheel in the air. So something they have to keep in mind when they get off the start. The third part of that is actually the start straight. Really important that we get a good qualifying session here. If you get a bad time, you're going to be stuck right onto the outside of this start gate. Now, I've stepped it out and calculated. It's another 15 meters to travel to get to the first turn. So the guy that gets on the outside is going to have a massive disadvantage. And it really shows the importance of making sure you get yourself a good qualifying time. If you're stuck on the outside, it's very likely you're going to have a bad day on the start gate. Over to you, Lee.
Well, thanks, Hammy. Okay, as you can see, we're on the opposite part of the track here at the AMX Superstores sand section, which essentially encapsulates this short straight and into this high-speed right-hand turn here. Now, at the moment, it's very smooth, no bumps at all. But let me tell you, this is going to get rough, it's going to get whooped out, and it's going to provide plenty of passing opportunities. Now, it's going to provide a few curveballs as well for not only the riders, but the teams. They've got to think about tyre selection, they've got to think about suspension setup. But let's talk about those riders. Both riders carrying the red plate, Regan Duffy in the MX1, Kyle Webster in the MX2. They're both sand gropers. They love this stuff. Watch this space, trust me. All right, back to you, Hammy.
Thanks, Lee. Well, the final part of this weekend is simply the ground surface as well. We've seen a few different areas already. We've got the hard pack area over there, the start's rock hard. We've got the sand down the back, and the rest of the track is rip deep. Right here, you can see it. Massive holes, big chunks of dirt that are going to develop into all of these huge ruts around the track. Now, if you are unable to ride ruts, you're going to have a bad day. I can promise you. This here is going to be a big key about getting around and getting good position in the races for the day. And that there is our Michelin track preview for Maitland.
Yamaha, KTM, Clout, Duffy. Each of these riders have one round victory next to their name. But what they both want is to walk away from Maitland with this red plate.
Yeah, look, we're in Maitland now, and you know, all those guys, they're in my backyard here now, so I'm ready to go out there and win. I'm ready to do a 1-1, and that's what I train for, so, you know, bring it on.
I don't think so. I think I've come here to win, so we're just going to have to see how it plays out on Sunday.
Look, the last time we come here, I won, and I plan on keeping that record going, so I like these tracks. You know, it's I guess you wouldn't say a home track, but you know, it's close to home for me. Gonna have family, friends, and everyone here, so for me, it's nothing short of winning. We
went back to Manjimup a couple of weeks ago, and Luke ended up getting the win there, so that hurt me a little bit. I'm definitely out for redemption.
You know, I won in their backyard, and I just don't think people liked it. That's just plain and simple. There was words said, not on my part, on other people's part. They can say what they want, but history books, look at them.
No, I think there was a little bit of like rivalry there. It was sort of trying to alpha dog each other discreetly, but yeah, I don't know. He came out on top, so I can't really say much more about it, to be honest.
The ultimate goal is to win the championship, so I've been, you know, training my ass off for that pretty much, so nothing short of that.
I think I'd be pretty disappointed if I didn't get the championship. I don't train to come second, I train to win, so yeah, I'm just planning on putting that in motion all year long.
If it's a last turn move, and you know, Regan made some attempts at Manjimup to put me on the ground, so
I feel like Luke would run me off the track and I would do the same to him.
If he wants to play that game, I'll play that game.
If it came down to it, yeah, I'm willing to trade colours a little bit there.
If it comes down to making a move to do that to win, I'll be doing it.
But that red plate's mine and I'm keeping it all year, so sorry, Luke.
We're in the starter's hands. Watch this gate 1 and 2. Great jump from Gibbsy and a little mistake from Clout. So I think we've got another hole shot from grid 1, a clear hole shot for, well, 1 and 2.
Yep. Oh, and Clout straight away moves himself past Gibbsy around that corner. But another one to mention there, the 102 of Matt Moss. Matt has done a lot of laps around here as well. You know what, those guys, some of them guys on the inside did not get the greatest jump out. The outside riders did, but they still didn't make the start. It's just so long way around there.
Picking up Regan Duffy back in about 8th or 9th spot, and he needs to make hay while the sun shines. He needs to pass some people while they're close together and they don't spread out too much.
They can't let Clout get that start. Regan Duffy can't let Clout have a start like that and
Matt Moss
back.
already up into second place.
Matt
Moss, and he wants to try to latch onto the back of Clout. He's sticking with him so far.
Yeah, oozes confidence, doesn't he, Matt Moss?
Yeah.
He really believes himself. He backs himself 100%. And if he can do that and stick onto the back of him, then you know what? He's in with a chance. But it's going to be very tough to try and run that pace as we look at our 100% whole shot. And it is officially awarded to Kirk Gibbs, but just wasn't quite as intense in the first couple of corners. And those passes, they're made quick.
It was the exit of turn 1. It was halfway through turn 1 where Clout ducked down and made the pass and had that clear lead by the time they went over that first jump. So as we mentioned before, it was Regan Duffy was back in 10th. He's moved up to 9th, but every single name in front of him is a big name, Danny.
Yeah, as we saw just momentarily, Tanti and Todd Waters battling it out as they go over the finish line. This is probably our first race where Tanti has come into it without an issue. And the last round he surgically had a fingernail removed only a day or two before Canberra round, so he was struggling with the pain of that. Of course, round 1 he was still dealing with a scaphoid, I think it was, or an injury of some sort, so wasn't able to ride. So this is the first one that he's gone into comfortably, and I spoke to him yesterday. He said, you know, he's really looking forward to it. He feels good on the bike. They are chipping away with it. They do realise they're a couple of races behind with their just being ready to go out and race. These other guys have all got a couple under their belt, So they're just going to keep chipping away. But right now, look at this.
The lead already from Clout, and Matt Moss dropped back into the clutches of Gibbsy, who is looking pretty damn good at the moment. Gibbs has got Tanti back there. So looking really quite nice, trying to make a move. It does get a little bit tight and has a hook at the end, and Matt Moss's line will lead him back to the inside. Unfortunately, both lines come together there, but nice setup, and I like trying to see alternative lines. If you follow the rider, A, there's no way you can pass them. B, if they make a mistake or have a crash, you run into them. You've got all kinds of dramas.
There is our race leader. He is just starting to check out. It'd be great to see that little battle, though. There was 5 riders about to bunch up in the battle between Tanti, Waters, Metcalf, Duffy, Melross. As we see also Gibbs around the outside of Matt Moss.
Beautiful.
So good pick up there by our cameras into second place. And that Tanti's right there as well. This is going to be fantastic. Yes, we have a rider that is checking out at the front at the moment, but second through to 9th place. All right there, all over this finish line right now. Let's have a look at this. Second, third, fourth, fifth, just in the screen as well. So there is plenty of talent up the front here. We're going to see a rip snorter before this one's done.
Well, let's not forget this first moto for the MX1 category, presented by Thor. This is a 30-minute plus a lap race, okay? As opposed to Moto 2 is 2 separate back-to-back 15-minute races. So it's riders who may not back themselves in fitness-wise need to consider. We see Todd Waters starting to come up on the back of these riders now. Todd is a machine. He can just keep going. Tanti lays down the gauntlet around the outside of Matt Moss.
That was very, very confident, wasn't it?
Yes.
He did say he was feeling much better on the bike, and it is showing right now. Staying with those riders behind Tanti in the back there. Have a look. There's the next 4, 5, 6, 7 riders that are all going to bunch up behind Moss as well. So there is plenty of real estate being used on the track at the moment as we see Metcalf in the sights of Duffy now as they go through this tight part. Mossy maybe tightening up just a little bit because these riders are coming up on him probably a little quicker than I was expecting.
Yeah, look, he's dropping back into the clutches of some big-name riders at the moment. He needs to stop the bleeding. He could quite easily get shuffled out the back, and he needs to. You've got to remember, Matt Moss, he doesn't do this for a living. He's in the excavator during the week. He's working, etc. So, and I think what we've seen from Manjum up 15,000, he loves those shorter races where we can see the good start, the aggression, the craziness, the speed. That is just a little bit harder to sustain for that 35 minutes when you're not doing this for a living.
Did Waters throw it into that punch just then? It almost looked like he was going to get stepped straight out the front as they go to knock down another lap. And have a look at this replay. What a move around the outside. This is where he dives into the corner. Watch this, the back, well, the whole bike just really dives in and then just stops instantly. That was a pretty close moment actually there for Waters.
Little mistake there, and that's dropped him back into the clutches of Duffy, which I think is going to be ready to pounce up the inside into this next left-hander. We'll open it up, and there we go.
So Duffy's standing almost the entire way through. Melross has made himself past Metcalf as well. So Metcalf has gone back a little bit. It's real back and forward, isn't it, between all of these riders? We think, or just as we think, there's a little pattern going on up the inside. Duffy there on Waters. Did he make the pass? No, but I can promise you they were going to come together if that was going to be pushed at all. As we see there is Metcalf on screen, 24, the Honda rider. We expect to see him pushing a little bit harder as we go towards the mid part of this race.
Kirk Gibbs has matched the time of Luke Clout with a 150 out front in that last lap, and then Tanti with a 52 at 51 from Todd Waters, but Regan Duffy a 150 as well. He is on fire at the moment. So, yeah, let's just keep an eye on these guys. We've got Matt Moss also just trying everything he can to latch on here. It's just, he seems to be riding a bit of a wave of just brilliance and then a little bit of, shall we say, let's pause for a second and then remount another challenge.
It doesn't take much for the wind to be taken out of the sails when you make a small mistake and you see all that work that you just put in to catch a rider in front of you. Out of one mistake, all of a sudden you're 2 seconds back off them, and you've got to make up all that ground again, and mentally it's draining. So really need to be staying strong in the mental game, focused on what he's doing and moving forwards. As
look at Duffy coming up on the back of Todd Waters at the moment as we speak. He's really found his feet. and he should be growing in confidence because he knows how far he's come from the back of the pack, and he will have so much energy. So a little mistake there from Brett Metcalf stepping sideways coming out of that corner.
Well, Mossy's dropped back behind him as well, so not feeling the groove quite as much, I don't think, from Mossy. He's stepped back just a little bit, possibly, if I'm correct.
Knowing how fit Regan Duffy is at the moment, I'm going to have to say going into the latter stages of this race, he's in a very, very good position. He just needs to minimise the mistakes, have a couple of things go his way, and he could find himself right up there.
I think right now Waters is the one that's found another gear, looking around the outside of Tanny. He knows the pressure from Duffy, and he makes the pass. Tanny now needs to latch onto that back wheel and try and pick up some of those new lines that Waters has found. And I tell you, that's probably the first time I've seen that outside line work. Not in the past in the corner, but actually set him up really good down that straight. He kept a lot of momentum and was able to make that pass. And there is Duffy just sniffing the back wheel.
Just lurking.
Yeah, every single lap. Nice inside line right there, nice and tight.
Yeah, and it's going to set you up to swoop into this next corner. I was just going to make comment, Hammy, we've seen a few passes made in that sand section into that high-speed right-hander, where if you can rail the outside and get next to the rider, you own the inside on the next corner. There's been at least 3 or 4 really good passes set up there. So
lucky you covered that in the track preview, mate.
Of course, mate.
All over that one.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yep, absolutely. There's a big move now by Duffy up the inside. He is right there on Tanny. We see Tanny ripping off one of those tear-offs, get some clear vision. Duffy around the outside. This is another place that's the illusion because it's a long way around the outside, but he does carry a lot of speed here.
Scrubs
big
and
jumps.
stays low.
Yeah, he has a lot of momentum. The head is down. They are going to fight for this one, and Tandy backs out of it.
Yes.
This is a good ride, though, by Aaron Tandy. He can
little.
still take away a good, solid performance out of this race and go into the next race and moving forward in the championship. This is a really, really good ride.
Yeah, it's going to be no mean feat by Duffy to get past and leapfrog Todd Waters. He's a reigning champion. He's got #1 plate on for a very good reason. However, it's really what he needs to do. Duffy needs to try to do that if he's got any hope of trying to keep tabs on Luke Clout for the overall today.
Yep.
A third is not too bad for the overall. You come out with a win in the final moto. Even if Clout comes out and gets a second in the final moto and wins overall on the day, it's damage control. You haven't done too much damage to your points. Well, wouldn't that be great to see a Todd Waters versus Gibbs little battle on the track for some of the traditionalists, some of the old school punters from a few years back, something we haven't seen for quite a while. Luke Clout out on his own, doing his own thing. He controls this race, and it all started from a good start, but a great first turn, and what set himself up for potentially a race 1 win here for the Thor MX Moto 1. But yeah, that'd be great to see a Kirk Gibbs on the Honda and a Todd Waters on the Husqvarna little battle. He does have a little bit of ground that he needs to make up. Regan Duffy looks as if he has dropped back just a tad. He needs to make sure he doesn't drop back into the clutches of Tandy. He can't afford to lose any more positions here, that's for sure.
Well, we're going to get a bit of an answer, and I think visually just then we might have some kind of idea as we see 2 riders go over to the finish. No, that last lap around, a 51.7 for Gibbs, a 52.06 for Waters.
Well,
so
Todd Waters just tipped it into a rut. You were looking at the timing screen, you missed it, Hammy. He tipped it in that hard like he was doing a photo shoot or something. It looked spectacular. You do need to be a bit careful. The ruts get a little bit fragile. It's really quite easy for them to blow out on a track like this, but that looked beautiful.
4 minutes left, so we are talking around about 4 more laps. See the back end at that time around completely out of the rut. Yeah. And it didn't phase Waters a bit. He just kept on the gas. There is Gibbs, and have a look in the background. There is Waters. It's visually pretty close, and they are coming up onto some lap riders. That's almost close enough for Waters to start thinking, hey, I've got a chance at this. There is the time on the clock, as we said. If he does run some more lap times, good ride here by Melrose. He has made it up past Tanty as well. Oh, no, sorry, he still sits there in Metcalf.
He's got Metcalf behind him.
They have got Tanty. There he is there.
Tanty must have had some kind of a drama. So not a bad little final part to the race from Brett Metcalf here. He's found an extra gear and just trying to step it up a notch, because he wouldn't have been too happy with that first half. A little bit of a front wheel bobble there for the South Australian rider who, truth be known, is an interesting situation for him to get out of Adelaide to come over here
he's going to have to quarantine when he heads back home to Adelaide, but of course something you'd be prepared to do, and this is your life, your job, something he's well and truly prepared to do. As the last lap boards come out now, he doesn't find himself on the back anymore. No. So that was a little bit of a rookie mistake, that outside line there, but especially from someone who's been as fast as he had on that inside line.
Well, the answer there, 52.2.
There you go. Come back with the 52.
Yep.
That's the answer we were looking for.
Yep. So he definitely had the speed in the late part of the race. Just dealing with the lapped riders has been a big challenge for these guys as they work their way through the rest of the field. Still 8 seconds lead out by Clout over Gibbs and Waters, as we see the 162 machine also out there just battling it out with himself at the moment, but I'm sure he had some good battles earlier on in the race. It does become a lonely ride sometimes out there, but you just got to keep pushing forwards. Gibbs, nice and comfortable at the moment.
Now, Hammy, just quickly would like to make mention, all the way down to 7th place, Max Purvis with the 152 in that last lap. So not only him, Metcalf, Melross, all in the 52s. Duffy and Todd Waters with a 53. And Kurt Gibbs, as you mentioned, dropped down to a 52. Luke Clout controlling the lead at the moment. He's in that part of the race where he's absolutely in the clear, and he's starting to wind it down and get ready. No risks needing to be taken on that final lap. However, Hammy, you and I both can confess on this one and say the last thing you want to do is completely slow down too much in the latter part of the race. When you start hitting ruts and bumps and jumps at such a different pace to what your full race pace is, it can actually sometimes bring disaster. However, here we see checkered flag out and a race win in the Thor MX1 Moto 1 for Luke Clout, and he is pumped. He's kept the momentum rolling. Fresh off a win from the Manjimup 15,000. The CDR Monster Energy boys will be over the moon. The results of the Thor MX1. Let's take a look here. Luke Clout with a solid win. Kurt Gibbs rebounding very well to hold on to 2nd. Todd Waters impressive in 3rd. Duffy in 4th. Melross rounding out the top 5.
Metcalf also with a good solid ride at the end. Purvis, he was up there very quick at the start. Tanti, Moss and Moss rounds out our top 10. Jai Dixon, Connor Tierney, Joel Whiteman, Lockie Latner, and also Joel Evans.
Yeah, great to see Tierney in there in the Suzuki flying the flag for the yellow machines. They're back in 12th. He'd be hoping to get right up there somewhere in the top 10. He'd be trying to make the most of that little sand section right there.
It's only a very small section as we head down to Rihanna with our race 1 winner, Luke Clout.
Yeah, taking out the Thor MX1 Moto 1 from CDR Monster Energy Yamaha. Luke Clout, congratulations. This momentum's certainly starting to build. You're on fire at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just starting to click. Everything's really, working well for me. I'm really training hard at home, and I've got a really good program going on, and I'm just doing my thing, and it's paying off. So, I'm riding this wave of confidence. I've won a lot of races now, and want to keep the ball rolling.
You built that lead up to 8 seconds towards the end. You looked really comfortable. Are you happy sort of riding on your own, or you prefer to be in a bit of a battle?
Oh, obviously everyone likes to be out on their own, but your mind kind of wanders a little bit when you're out, trying not to make a mistake. And there was a few laps there I made a few little mistakes, but I started finding some lines and correcting myself. So, I'm just happy to keep getting good starts and keep doing that. It makes it a lot easier for me. So, I got out to a comfortable lead and just kind of managed it, and threw some laps down towards the end and started pulling a little bit more, which is good to know. So looking forward to the last 2 races.
Just give us a quick brief update on how the track's forming up throughout the day.
Yeah, it's tough. The track crew made some changes just then and, helped the track out a little bit. So it was a lot better then for us. It actually opened up and made some more lines. So, it's getting pretty tough. So the last 2 motors are going to be pretty tough, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, so do we. Congratulations. Well done, Luke Clout.
The sun is shining here at Maitland for round 4 of the Penrite Oil's ProMX Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores MX1. It is the business end of the day, Danny Ham. We cannot wait to get into it.
And they are down already.
Another good start from Kirk Gibson.
But Duffy, I saw Duffy had a good start as well.
Yes, he has. And Gibbsy, Duffy will be on the inside, so he's going to be somewhere in the top 3. Clout just manages to do something good. Is that Tanti that we've also got up there that's going to be neck and neck with Duffy? and I believe who is going to be able to hold on to that third spot there. But very impressive from Kirk Gibbs, who's really stamped his position here in that pointy end of the field in MX1. A rider gone down there, number 162. Unfortunately for him, that's not what you want to be doing on lap 1 when you get relegated right the way to the back of the pack.
There was Melrose having a slide out in the corner there, just getting onto the throttle just a little bit too hard. These shadows now coming into play as well. You can see the dark and light areas. Makes it very hard, especially through here, to see the edges of those ruts. Now, if you're going to talk about sprint laps, my money is on Luke Clout. Simply, he loves getting out there and doing those fast laps straight up. The 100% whole shot award does go to Luke Clout. I didn't pick him out of the launch, but he managed to get there through the first turn.
Now, just to explain to our viewers at home, this format here for the second moto is back-to-back races. We don't have the traditional 30 minutes plus a lap. We've got two 13-minute motos plus a lap. It's going to play into the favour not only of the riders that are, say, not quite as fit, but the ones that got a good start in this one. If you've got a bad start or you have a crash in that early part of the race, almost impossible to come through the pack.
Well, I did see Waters was actually off the side of the tabletop as we went through turn number 1. So he manages to hold himself up there in 6th place at the moment. He sits in there behind Brett McCarthy, the Honda rider, just in front of Hayden Melrose as our boys knocked down one lap. And already we've only got 10 minutes to go. And we see that our leader has clocked out a 1.6 second lead already. Straight away, pulled just that little bit of a gap on Gibbsy, who is straight away quite possibly the second fastest on the day today, unless Regan Duffy can somehow pull something out of the bag, but he's not all over the back of Tanti trying to make a pass. Not at the moment.
Early stages of the race is where things can go wrong, and if you're in there in the championship hunt, as we see a couple of riders have gone down, looks to be rider number 10 we can try to pick up there. That's Levi McManus. And just trying to pick up...
Moss, Jake Moss.
Jake Moss has gone down, so...
Look at that. Oh! Even then, Duffy, big mistake going into that
I was going to make comment on that in the last lap. There is an enormous hook in the first part of that corner that you cannot just jump out to the inside. Obviously a mistake, and a costly mistake there by Duffy.
9 minutes left to go in the first of these two back-to-back motos. There is Duffy. He didn't drop back too far, but have a look at this. Keep your eye on Duffy on the 72 machine, just a little unsettled.
Watch
coming
this
into the corner.
Here. Boom.
Yeah, just it almost looked like it gave way a fraction in that mid part of the corner, that rut. So lucky to get away with that one as smoothly as you did. But you know, that momentum can be easily taken away from you when you have these little moments, I guess you could say. Again, just there, you know, it wasn't as smooth as you'd like. And that momentum that you had if you were running forward can be taken away rather quickly.
There's one thing that you do notice with Regan Duffy compared to some of the seasoned veteran hard-pack riders, being a Western Australian and as good as he is in the sand, sometimes if you watch closely, he hangs off the back of the bike just that little bit. Now in these hard-pack sections where it can get a little bit choppy, when you get too far off the back and it unweights that front wheel, it can become a little bit skatey. He's getting better and better all the time. Look, he's one of the best hard-pack riders in the country as well. But he's going to continue working on getting a little bit more weight on that front wheel to try to keep a little bit more traction on these hard-pack tracks.
Oh, Duffy, nice drive out of there that time around.
That's his bread and butter right there.
Keeping the back wheel on the ground, maximising that drive, but pushed over in that corner. Now, I've confirmed, but I can't see it.
Make the call.
Yeah, Honda, the Gibbs machine, the radiator, bottom bolt of that shroud has come out. Now, whether that was a bump by Tanti or maybe a tip over too far in the corner.
You know what it could be? When these riders, when they're that good at ruts,
tipping it over so hard.
Quite often the radiator shroud does a bit of shoveling, shall we say, and it could have quite easily popped it out just from railing a corner. You can see the insides of these corners are really built up quite a bit.
Let's head down to Rihanna, who is with Craig Dack.
Yeah, just wanted to get a quick update from Craig. Craig, we're much different conditions this afternoon than what we had earlier in the day. Just talk us through how that affects the track.
Well, the sun's a bit lower in the afternoon, so it casts a lot of shadows from the trees and on the other side of bumps and ruts, so it's hard to see the definition. It's definitely gone to a hard track now, and we anticipated that and went to hard track tyres, but I'm pretty impressed with Luke, that's for sure.
You certainly are doing exceptional things at the moment. We don't want to talk too soon, but things are looking good.
No, you never count your chickens, but very happy so far, and it's been a brilliant weekend with the club and everybody getting together under the circumstances.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, great grab there, Rihanna. And I must say, from a point of view, that Craig Duck was my team manager many, many moons ago, way long ago in the dinosaur ages, shall we say. I must give credit where it's due. Ducker is such a relaxed team manager now. He doesn't micromanage or try to do roles. It's not his. He's got mechanics, he's got technicians, and all the people that are supposed to do their thing. He steps back and he does what he's supposed to do, which is manage the team. And just even talking to him, man, he's got a wealth of knowledge, and just to hear him talk, when he does, on the very odd occasion, speak out to the riders, they listen. You know, he's got the credentials, and we're very lucky to have him in the sport.
Another good ride here by Hayden Melross on the 45 machine, the Craig Dack rider. He is still managing to hold off Maximus Purvis. Now, Purvis had a good ride also in the first race as they go through Dunlop Turn here, but he seemed to drop off the back. I don't know what happened there. He just seemed to disappear, so much better this time around. Still managing to hang strong right in there behind Hayden Melross, and they are not far off the back wheel of Todd Waters either. Waters very strong in the first race, and he just hasn't been able to find it in this one, as we see Kirk Gibbs there struggling up the inside, a big dab of the foot. He's starting to feel that pressure from the 72 machine.
Yeah, and Regan Duffy here mounting all kinds of a challenge to the back of Kirk Gibbs once again. He's just relentless. He has learned from that mistake in the corner and did it exceptionally well. He's all over the back of the Honda rider, and they are exceptionally close to Tanti. So really, it's just Luke Clout who, I have to say, once again, kind of similar to Kyle Webster in the first of the...
Big dive up the inside there by
Duffy.
Duffy, that was a bit of a rookie mistake. I didn't see the entry into it. Maybe he got kicked, but he came into that way too hot. It was almost like he was doing a big dive, thinking he was going to make the other rider back out of that pass.
Wow.
And yeah, just dove the front wheel into there.
You cannot do that in a 13 plus a lap race.
Not at all. Now he sits in there behind Brett Metcalf, only just in front of Todd Waters. The best he's going to do is get himself back up one position.
Back up to fourth place where he was before. And look at, he's all over the back of him.
Have a look on the right. Look on the right as we come into this corner. Oh, he just loses the front going into it.
Yeah, well, he was like right next to Gibbsy, though. That was just like a battle of wheels to see. Yes. It was like playing chicken going into a corner.
But I'm really impressed with Tanti in this race. He had a solid first moto as well, but just at the end there, just dropped off the pace a little bit. Whether that was, you know, maybe just tightening up a little bit, or whether he's out of breath. He hasn't come into, before this race, he hasn't come into any of the rounds at 100%. Injury before round 2, having a fingernail removed and then racing on it only 2 days later. This one he's come into it at a much better preparation and is showing right now he's riding exceptional right now.
Well, as we've just ticked over the 1 minute to go mark before we'll get the last lap board to come out, everything's stabilised a little bit at the head of the pack. So Luke Clout at 151.4, stretched out just a tad over Tanti, who likewise with a 152 flat has stretched out 0.8 of a second over Gibbs's last lap. Duffy has made his way back past, back into fourth place ahead of Brett Metcalf. No harm, no foul, too much, but hopefully lesson learned for the next race. Let's not try to throw it in quite that hard when there's so much to be lost potentially. You got to think, imagine you do something that's terminal for the bike. It might not hurt your body. You might not get any points. That's very bad for the red plate.
And you've got to remember that he was challenging these two. He potentially could have got second place in this race. Out of the question now. We are only, well, it's about to run out of time, so this is the second last lap right now for these guys. Just catching him in the background there of that last shot, and we did see that they are pretty close, that being Metcalf, Waters and Melross. But there is only a couple of laps to go in this one. There is Luke Clout still running away with it.
And Ham, you can just quickly make mention, we have a look at Regan Duffy, who holds the championship points lead at 85 points, quite substantially over 78 points with Todd Waters. When you consider that, he's made a couple of little mistakes. Hayden Melross is third in the championship, so he's going to extend his lead over both of those. Not the best day so far. He's still got another one of these back-to-backs to make up, but he's still quite a ways ahead of his two main arch rivals.
Yeah, this is a good battle heating up here. It's the tail end of this race. There is Melross up the inside of Waters, and they are also on the back wheel of Metcalf over this last
Second and third in the championship right there. So they need to, they're looking at the big picture right there.
Diving down into the inside, all the riders using the same line. Can't make any passes there. A mistake, though, by Melross. Can Purvis make the pass? Indeed, he goes around the outside, but he won't control this next corner. He's really trying hard. Oh! He's done well there to hold that one, and Melross did what he could to try and get that one back, but it was not going to work at that position going into that turn.
One lap to go for Luke Clout. When you're on a day like this, and you know what it's like someone's grabbed the remote control and pushed the slow motion button, right? And I don't mean that he's going slow. I mean, in his head, it's like everything's slowed down, and he's got so much time to pick and choose lines. So you very rarely get caught in the wrong position. If a rider in front of you makes a mistake and has a crash, you see it a long time before it happens. You can make your choices. It's when things are going pear-shaped, it's like someone's pushed the fast forward button and everything goes crazy, and you're going to run into that person who makes a mistake. So today, Clout's having one of those days, like that slow-mo's going on, and he's making good choices, and you can see from how mindful he is, having a quick look over his shoulder. He's assessing where his competition is. This track, this is bread and butter. He loves this stuff. It's like his backyard. So I think we can dare say we'll see a little bit more of this from him, as we've got a brief gap in between these two back-to-back races. Coming over, looking exceptionally good, nice and clean, and in both of the races so far today, he hasn't got to the first turn in first place. He always comes out in first place. He's making magic happen in that first turn.
Half a lap to go in this one as he negotiates his way through to these rollers. The number 4 machine is looking very good and comfortable, smooth, very calculated as he goes through Pirelli turn right there. Luke Clout, quick look over his shoulder again, knowing he doesn't have to push it too hard, but every time he looks over, he is seeing that number 9 machine who is on the outside there.
Yeah.
He's not that far back, but he is able to manage, control this one through the Max's turn for the last time in this race, and it is going to be another win for this rider. The CDR Monster Energy Yamaha rider, number 4, Luke Clout, takes the win on part 1.
Have a look right there, literally right there. Massive props to Aaron Tandy and the Gas team for an incredible ride right there. It's taking it right down to the wire, good, consistent, no mistakes, fantastic. Gibbsy holds on that factory CRF Honda machine for 3rd place and continues his great run after 2nd place in Moto 1. So he puts himself in a great position, does Gibbsy, for a good podium spot. And then we look back to Regan Duffy, who managed to get up to 4th place. Todd Waters will round out the top 5. Clout's already in, helmet off. He looks nice and clean, like he's just got into a new set of riding gear already.
I don't think anyone threw any dirt at him through that race. He was able to manoeuvre his way around anything that might have came his way. As we just see the rest of the riders come in now, vital that they get back and just have a quick break so that they can get ready for that next moto, which won't be too long. So stick around. We will come back for the second part of the MX1 Moto 2. We are getting set for the start of this race. I'm sure Rihanna will get to the bottom of that in just a moment, but let's check out the second part of this one. Remember, these guys need to be careful with the throttle going off the start here. The tyres are warmed up, the bikes are ready, they are jumping forward, the weight is back. Who will launch out off the start of the final race of the day?
Gibbsy again, another great jump, and he's going to, Luke Clout's going to try to slot in behind.
Around the outside, he did this last lap.
Tanti once again will be, mistake from Tanti, but Clout will not exit in first place this time. Gibbsy just steps out sideways, and he is determined to hold on to that lead.
Waters in a better position this time as well.
And Melross in a much better position. I can't see, there we see, okay, just popped in around 8th place is Duffy. So that red
needs to work on them starts.
The weight of that red plate is heavy. He needs to Needs to be a little bit smarter this time trying to come through the pack, but I'm liking that number 1 plate being up a little bit closer towards the head of the pack.
How's that shot right there? You can see how much that, Purvis getting very close to Waters. I was going to say that shot really showed how hard it is to see in the light and the shadows. That's exactly what the riders are trying to deal with as they go from one to the other, put in some dust and then the dirt throwing everywhere, and it's really, really difficult to see. Let's head down to Rihanna.
Yeah, it's a little bit chaotic down here at the start line. We saw Matt Moss have an issue with his bike. He came off behind the start gates. He tried to get on a spare bike, but they've actually refused him starting this race. So he's just come back behind the starting gates now. His original bike had a buckwood with back wheel.
Okay, so that explains the issue with not being able to start, and I dare say the people who make the decision would know what's going on, but Matt Moss will be absolutely devastated, especially in these short, sharp races where we want to see him up there at the head of the pack. So unfortunately for Moss, he'll have to rebound, try to remount another challenge come the next round of the championship. But on screen at the moment, Todd Waters on that factory Husqvarna machine. He's got pressure from Maximus Purvis. It's all over the back of him, who's under pressure from Hayden Melross on the CDR Monster Energy Yamaha. But Tanti is once again proving the real deal. He is right up there and doing sensational today. We've got 9 minutes 25 on the clock, and as you can see now, he's all over him. And I think he's going to be smart. In the mindset that Clout's in at the moment, he's going to pick his time to do it. And when he does do it, this time I think he may protect himself a little bit better than last time.
After the protection, it's going to be sprint away.
Yes, sprint for a little bit, minimise the mistakes, and then just control the race. He's in a good headspace at the moment. But wow, it's so good to see this kind of form and speed from Kurt Gibbs on the Honda machine. He's really found his form this year.
Cloudy around the outside, a great line. Yeah, great line on the lights, but because these 450s have so much power, that inside, being able to punch out of that turn, that advantage from the outside is taken away. So it's a weird thing for anyone that isn't in motocross to be able to realize that there's a big bike line and a small bike line. It all depends on the amount of power you have. Oh, just like that. Tapped the back wheel. Both of them guys came into that corner very hot indeed.
And that reminded me right there of a crash that Cooper had in AMX Supercross. Ran into the back of, I believe it was Tomac.
Yes.
Crashed and ruined his overall. So that's how easily it can happen. However, Luke Clout managed to not stall the machine or crash. So crisis evaded for him.
Does that change his mindset now?
We'll have to wait and see how it plays out over the next lap or two, because...
Quick look over the shoulder to see who's behind him. Maybe he might be thinking about it just a little bit. I'll tell you what, I think he's going to be thinking about it. Maybe he might step off the gas just a little bit, especially after making that mistake. He may settle down just a little bit and say, okay, second's okay. However, if while he's cruising, he still catches Gibbs, it's game on again.
It's game on again. Yeah, you just need to see how it works. And something that I noticed when they were battling before, and this happens on a lot of tracks, is quite often two riders that are battling have got their strong parts of the track, where one rider will pull away a little bit and the other rider will be right back on him on that part of the track. They'll get to the other part of the track, stretch back out again. And that's what we're seeing with Gibbsy and Clout on this particular track. They've both got their strong points. Everything's looking good at the head of the pack here, and it's just a couple of little mistakes from Clout that he just needed to settle down, because when everyone's this close and you've got someone the likes of Tanti who's got the fitness, he's got the speed, he's young and he's hungry, you can't afford to let it snowball into a few mistakes, otherwise you could start to get shuffled backwards very quickly. However, you and I both know Clout exceptionally well. He's so proud. He's going to want to turn this into a win somehow. We've still got 4 minutes 50, basically 5 minutes plus a lap to go. It's still an eternity when you look at the duration of these short sprint laps overall. And just as we look right now, it looked to me as if Clout just starting to ease back a little bit closer onto the back of Gibbsy. Gibbsy has won a moto, so it's not like he hasn't won for a very long time. However, the pressure of Clout when he's in this kind of form is undeniable.
Great view there of just how deep these ruts have gotten over the course of the day into this sand section now. It's not a deep sand, is it, Lee? But there is definitely some whoops, some bumps going through there that are kicking the back end out as we go through Max's turn here, and another small
Todd
mistake.
Waters has got a really good line here. Watch, he cut. Oh no, he didn't do it that time, and then it makes a big mistake.
Purvis has got him
I was
out of that.
just about to give him a pat on the back because the lap before he found a line that cut down under that hook at the start, and it was beautiful. Why did he go into that hook? I can't explain that one. Apologies. Wow.
Wow, taking advantage of it when he was not ready. That was a brilliant move by Melross, the 45 machine. He saw the opportunity and absolutely grabbed it with both hands, diving up the inside there while Waters was not expecting it. I think Waters was just trying to regroup out of that turn that you were speaking of. Have a look at this. Look at the dive up the inside. Back wheel locked up. It was going in hot. If Waters turned in, Waters was going down, no doubt. Can't speak highly enough of this guy, Aaron Tanti, really putting in a solid performance today, and the confidence that he's going to take out of this race is only going to grow so much going into the next few rounds.
Yeah, Hammy, interesting to note, coming into that Pirelli corner back there where you were talking about, the braking bumps coming in, they must almost be like vertical. I can't remember seeing bikes react quite that way to braking bumps. It'd be nasty. I'm so glad that you and I aren't out there riding.
8 seconds it was over the finish line until the clock ran out. So these boys have another 2 laps to go. Gibbs would have loved to have seen that last lap board that last time around, but he has to weather the storm for another lap, and it is close.
It is on.
1.5 doesn't look right.
It's not correct. No. It's under 1 second. You have a look.
Yeah, that is really close. A slight mistake by Gibbs, and Clout will take a chance at this, a lunge at this pass.
Yeah,
whether he can make it stick is another thing, because Gibbs really is on his game at the moment.
Yeah, and realistically, Clout just needs to put himself in position. He's right there. He doesn't need to force the issue.
Who's going to throw down the gauntlet here? Will the CDR Monster Energy Yamaha rider be able to make the pass on the factory Honda? It is going to be a big effort, I think, to try and do it, to try and get past. Yeah,
he knows he's sitting there. I think the only thing he's going to do is to wait perhaps for a mistake. He's not going to force the issue. Doesn't need to, and that is smart riding. I like what I'm seeing from Luke Clout, and you can't help but like what you're seeing from Kurt Gibbs. This is a resurgence in form from Gibbsy, a past national champion who knows how to win.
Sorry, have a look, when we get a long shot, have a look behind these two.
Tanti is right there.
He's got Purvis on him and Melross as well as they come into here. Top of shot, there it is, 3 riders. Great shot right there, and it is very close between these 3.
Purvis nearly turned that into a triple. He landed on the face.
They're catching up to our leaders as well. So the pace is on. Melross desperate at the moment to try and make this final lunge and make these passes stick, as we see first and second. There is Tanti as well. Lead 2 riders can't slack it off right now because the next 3 are right on their back wheel.
Any mistake will be punished here, and that's one of the exciting things about these shorter duration races. With Gibbs has just managed to edge out just a little bit over Clout, who really is trying to control this here. Everyone else is trying to just get their time to shine, their little bit of TV time, and what a fantastic job from Maximus Purvis. And here we see Gibbsy comes in, tips it nicely into that corner. Clout's dropped back even further, so I'd love to see just how close he is to Tanti getting onto the back of him. We're only just meters away here, up and over in the finish. When the checkered flag comes out, have a look at the freight train as they come through. It's Gibbs from Clout, from Tanti, Purvis, Melross. What an amazing ride there. A very smart and calculated second place from Clout, and an impressive win from Kurt Gibbs on that factory Honda machine.
Results of MX1, thanks to Thor. It is Kurt Gibbs in that race. Luke Clout, Aaron Tanti, Maximus Purvis with another really, really good ride. Hayden Melross, Todd Waters, Regan Duffy only through to 7th place that time. Brett Metcalf, Lockie Latimer, and also Connor Tierney on this lone Suzuki out there.
We're about to go down to Rihanna now on the podium.
What a way to wrap up our day here at Maitland, taking out the Thor MX1 Moto 2 combined results on the CDR Monster Energy Yamaha. Congratulations, Luke Clout. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, it was a hard-fought battle in that last one. I kind of knew I had the overall, but the boys behind us were keeping us on our toes, so I couldn't really drop back, and I knew Gibbsy would have got the overall if that was the case. So I was hoping that we were pulling away, and I thought we were, but the boys were still hanging in there. So the track was pretty brutal then, and like I said, a Dakar in between the first run. I was like, that was a long 9 laps. I didn't know how long it was, but stoked to come away with the win.
I know you said at the start of this weekend you wanted to leave here with the red plate. I think you've got it by 3 points.
Yeah, look, Dakar just told me that as well. So, we got it a lot sooner than I thought. Obviously, we had that DNF at round 1, and, the goal was to obviously get that red plate back, but I didn't think it would take 2 rounds to do it. So, keep doing what I'm doing. It's obviously working, so I'm just going to keep chipping away and hopefully make this points lead grow and see where we end up.
Congratulations, Luke Clout, but making him work for it, taking the second place on the podium on the Honda Racing team. Kurt Gibbs, I know you're a little bit disappointed. You want to get that win?
Yeah, exactly. First 2 rounds weren't ideal. I've been off a little bit, and like I said, we're just chipping away with this bike. It's new for me. It's a big change, and yeah, I just, I feel like I'm starting to gel. A few little 1%ers at home as well, and want to say a massive shout out to my wife who's at home. We got married last week, so I'm really stoked with that, and it was an awesome day. But huge hats off to the guys, Darren at Terra Firma, for everything he's done for us, and the factory Honda team. They're putting in huge effort. Fly and Garnet and FMF and Dan from MXRP is busting his butt behind the scene as well, and just everyone, Sarah, the whole team's a massive effort, and I think I'm going to start getting the ball rolling from here.
I'm sure she'll forgive you for being away a week after the wedding when you come home with a trophy. And taking off the 3rd place on the podium, Aaron Tanti bouncing back from injury. What a way to do it.
Yeah, that was awesome. I rode them 2 back-to-backs with both top 3 results. The first moto wasn't where I wanted to be, which probably, put me off the podium overall. But, it's a strong way to finish before going into the next round. I'm getting stronger each week as I'm coming back from injury, and, I'm excited to bring it the next round.
Congratulations to our 3 podium place getters, Luke Clout, Kurt Gibbs and Aaron Tanti.
Well, such a fantastic job from our podium place getters there. And of course, Kurt Gibbs getting another win on the Honda machine, but it was all about Luke Clout overall today. Let's take a look at the Thor Championship points in the MX1 after round 4. Luke Clout with 122 has taken that red plate off Regan. Duffy with 119. It's still super close there, rounding out the top 3. Todd Waters with 116 points. Back to Gibbsy in 4th. Kurt Gibbs, Hayden Melross, Brett Metcalf, Max Purvis, Aaron Tanti, Jai Walker and Joel Whiteman rounding out the top 10. Joel Whiteman there on 54 points. So incredible day here, and what an amazing setting. Let's take a look here on screen. Round 5. Diamond Creek Motocross track. That's at Wodonga. That's our next round of the Penrite ProMX Championships, and that is on July the 25th. Let's go back down to Rihanna.
Well, Danny Ham, we had to wait 8 weeks for this round in Maitland, but it sure threw up all sorts of spanners in the works. Kyle Webster has been defeated, finally, and the red plate has been taken from Regan Duffy.
Yeah, wow, what a meeting this has been. Really showed some new faces, didn't it? Especially in the MX1 class. We saw TNT going up there. The strength of Luke Clout. He's going to be someone that is really, really strong going forward in this championship. Can Duffy bounce back? It's going to be hard to say, but I know the strength of him as well. It's going to be interesting over these next couple of rounds.
Our next round, we head to Wodonga. Quick thoughts on that one?
Very similar to here. It's going to be another race that's going to have a lot of ruts and stuff, so I think this is a bit of a prerequisite of what we're going to see down there.
Okay, well, very much looking forward to that. The next round of the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores will be brought to you from Wodonga in a month's time, July 25. We look forward to bringing you all the action. In the meantime, keep up to date on the website ProAMX and, of course, the Instagram. Danny, we're going to get covered in champagne. Thanks for joining us here this weekend in Maitland. Bye for now.